Welcome back to Studio Sidequests, ladies and gentlemen, and today's episode is a little bit different. This isn't just a remodel or a quick patch job, this is the first time I'm actually tearing something down completely and rebuilding it from scratch. Right now, this spot looks like nothing but dirt and missed potential, but that's about to change hopefully, because today we're going to give Sandy Shores a proper Liquids Ace and a convenience store and bar that actually belongs in this town. Now, let's talk about the old Liquids Ace for a second. I didn't build it, and honestly thank God I didn't, because the last version looked less like a bar and more like a group project where everybody quit halfway through. The outside looked like it was textured with a potato, and the inside felt like it was holding its last breath. I'm not saying this is the worst building I've ever seen, but if the health inspector walked in, they'd probably just condemn the building out of pity. Honestly, it kind of felt like the drinks were judging me for showing up. So yeah, the old builder fumbled pretty badly, and probably left a permanent stain on Roblox's architectural record, but that's okay. That's why I'm rebuilding Liquid Ace properly, from the ground up. Let's make this thing right. Okay, so let's go ahead and start making this Liquid Ace. Let's start with something very basic. I already have a design in mind because this building is coming from an actual game, GTA, if you didn't know. It's a real location in GTA. It's called Liquor's Ace. Now, we can't name it Liquor's Ace because Roblox doesn't like liquor, especially in a game that supports people under 18, so we have to name it Liquid's Ace. So there's the backstory on that naming scheme. I have a program that I use called CodeWalker. Let me show you what that's like here. This is a program that is free to use, free to download. You can go inside of a GTA's, code essentially, and look at all the buildings in game with FreeCam. This is the easiest way that I make buildings that are similar to the ones in GTA. I can simply just load this up in about 2 seconds and look for the building that I need. In this particular case, I'm using it to remake Liquid's Ace. I am basing the design off of this building, but I'm going to make my own little twist on it. I don't know if I'll keep all the assets like this. I don't know if I'll keep the building that looks this demolished and under repaired. I might modernize it a little bit. The main thing is we need a new building for Liquid's Ace. We haven't had one in a few months, so I got to get that done soon. Regardless, this interior is kind of what we're going for. It's I guess it's more of a convenience store than a bar, but I want to expand it farther into this section of the building where we didn't have it before. I want to kind of make this entire thing interiorized, give it some interior, give it some life, make it, really pop out in Sandy Shores so we can get another place to do hostage situations and roleplay, stuff like that. So yeah, this back area is going to have, an interior as well. There's an interior up here. I can't show the entirety of it because it has a slab in there, but essentially there's going to be a back portion of it in the back. There's going to be a top floor, stuff like that, just the basics. So that's what we're doing with it right now. I figured I'd show you this so you know the design I'm basing it off of. So this is essentially the concept we're working with. If you don't have CodeWalker and you want to build buildings that look a certain way, I encourage you to get CodeWalker because GTA has plenty of buildings you can copy. I mean, you have different assets over here, like you have buildings like this that just like a shack and a house, stuff like that. I base a lot of my buildings off of what GTA has, or MLOs for GTA, which are just custom made buildings. So that's where I get a lot of my ideas from. Regardless, let's pop back in the studio and start this building process. So with this being a brand new building, I don't have anything that I'm basing it off of in game. I don't have to worry about any assets I'm bringing into my own studio from the main game. So I'm in my own studio making this building. It's going to be a lot easier because I have all my assets here. I have my trees, my doors, my whatever, the building stuff that I need is here. I have other asset packs load up in my PC, but that's what we mostly use is this asset pack. That's what I use at least. So with being a new building, especially with anything you're making for a new game or a game that's already been worked on, Sandy Shores doesn't have the best coordination between assets, meaning things sometimes are in folders, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're named incorrectly, sometimes they are not. It's kind of a mess. So I've been trying to make it a habit of myself when I make a new building for Sandy Shores, I make it as organized as possible. So what I usually start off with is adding a folder into the workspace. That way I can properly organize what I'm making into a folder and keep it all kind of together under one conglomerate name. I do like to separate all the separations in the buildings and stuff like that, keep the names different, like the floor gets a floor name, the ceiling gets a ceiling name, the walls get a wall name, so that way it's easier for other developers to come in and modify my work if they need to in the future. I didn't get that luxury with this building I'm redoing. That's why it was originally deleted. It wasn't made very well, and it wasn't ours, so we are going to remake it from scratch. First, I got to rename this, so I'm going to name it Liquids Ace. Just like that. Oh, that's not how you spell liquids, but it's close enough. All right, like that. Now, I'm going to use a plugin called Quick Build. You just get part in here, drop it down on the floor, just like that. And there you go. Boom, it's our first part. I'm going to move this into our folder up here. It's called Liquids Ace. That way I can keep everything in the same folder if I need it. You got to remember to do that. That's going to become a normal theme for this building video, is you got to keep things in the folders they're supposed to be in. If you don't keep them in the folders they're supposed to be in, or at least name them properly, you're going to get lost. It's going to be a mess for other people that want to take your work and modify it later on down the line. So that's kind of what we got to focus on, is the organization skills of our building. The building might not be good, but at least it's organized, and that's better than nothing. I typically like to start with the walls of the building. So I am going to start with the top, bottom, and middle floors, stuff like that. I'm going to start with the windows, get all that stuff done. So first of all, I don't have a measurement for this building because it wasn't in Roblox, it's in GTA. So I got to kind of make it look similar to what it is in GTA. Now, what I have here, what I just took over there, is called a scale. I said this in the last video before, but you got to make sure you scale your things properly. If you don't have a scale like this is just a player model, you need to get one in all your studios you use this on, because if you don't scale things properly, it's going to come out shitty. It's going to have a bunch of problems, yada, yada, yada. Next thing you got to do is when you're making walls, windows, and doors, you got to make sure you have one unified size for all your walls, windows, and doors. So for my walls, I have a size of 0.5. That's typically the sweet spot for me with my windows and walls, so that I can put doors and windows in later on and it matches all my other building styles. If you don't have a standardized window, wall, and door size, it's not a big deal. Just gotta make the pre-made models over here like this. You gotta make your own doors and windows and stuff like that. That way, you know, oh yeah, I built at a 0.5 or 0.95. You know, you gotta know that for future reference. So I know that all my doors are a specific height and a specific width, and the specific width for most of my doors is 0.5. So let me quickly make this first floor, and then I will get back to you with more specifics. I'm going to stop the little montage here for a second. I forgot to mention, when you make a main folder for a building, you need to make subfolders. So I'm going to make a bunch of subfolders in here called walls, floors, doors, windows, and lighting. Those are basically your basics for most buildings. You're always going to have that stuff for every building you make. Maybe not the lighting or doors if it's not interiorized, but you're going to have walls, windows, and at least like a door or two. So I got to make our subfolders, and then yeah, you just got to remember to do that. I figured I'd let you guys know, because that's kind of a big deal with organizing your studio. If you don't have subfolders in your main folder, it's not going to look great. So anyways, back to the montage. All right, so that's the bottom floor done. This looks pretty much like the one in GTA, except a little bit different. Not a whole lot, but it looks similar enough where I think we can call it a Liquid's Ace. Now, I've done the door outlines. I've done the windows somewhat. I still got to outline in the windows and then put glass in and stuff like that, but it's already coming together. A couple of important things you might have missed when I did this is you got to make sure your doorways are the exact thickness of your doors, because if it's too thin, it's going to look stupid. If it's too thick, it's going to look stupid. You got to make it the exact width of your doors. And it's important to have a door outline too, because if you just have a door here, well, it doesn't really look like real life. It doesn't look like how it would look in real life. Doors have outlines, guys. You got to use those, okay? But yeah, that's the bottom floor. I'm going to add in the glass outlines, the window outlines. And then I'm going to start on the second floor, which is going to be a little bit more fun because I got to kind of have my own creative freedom there. Once I'm done with the second floor, I'll do the window outlines, the doors up there, and then we'll start with the interior. And that's really when things are going to get fun. So let me go ahead and speed forward through this. I'm not going to bore you with the windows and the doors and stuff because it's just me doing windows and doors, okay? But when I get to stuff interesting, I will get back to you. Enjoy the montage. Okay, and that's the outside done for the most part. I did the top floor and the bottom. I still have to do the roof part of the building, but we're going to leave that for later. Now I'm going to start working on the inside, start segmenting off portions of the building. I'm going to obviously fix whatever happened here. I'm going to segment portions of this building off, make it look like how it's supposed to look for the sizing, and then we'll move to the second floor. I'll probably end up doing the same thing. I do have an idea for the inside of this building, and it is, of course, coming from the original Liquid's Ace that is in GTA. So they have it kind of segmented off like a convenience store. Well, I want to do that, add the convenience store part in there, but maybe put a bar in there or some sort of sitting area or seating area, some sort of section that might be over here in this part of our building that we have. I've yet to kind of find out what I want to do with that, or it would just be empty and sectioned off. I'm not too sure yet. And then obviously behind here would be like kind of the service counter area, all your supplies, your crates or whatever is going to be back here. And then obviously stairs go back here. Yeah, I'll make something back in this area of the building, some sort of like hideaway area. And upstairs is, of course, your, for lack of a better word, lab. And then we'll come back to this later. I'll figure out what I want to do up here, because obviously I can't put what exactly is in here, because that would be TOS. So we'll figure something else out. Maybe I'll put like a gambling place, like something like blackjack or something up there, or just another seating area. I have yet to see, but I'm going to work on the downstairs portion. I don't know if I'll fast forward it. Maybe I will. I probably will fast forward it because I don't really do a whole lot of talking. Anyways, let me start segmenting off parts of this, and then I'll get back to you when I'm done with that. Okay, and then I still gotta do the roof. I got a lot to do here. This is gonna take a few days, but I'm so down. I love doing this type of stuff, to be honest. Like, I like doing interiors and stuff because it gives me the creative freedom. And shout out Reese, because he's just like kind of letting me do whatever, and he always has. So appreciate that for him. I'm gonna continue this, do the interior, then I'm gonna do the interior detail stuff like that. I don't know if I'm gonna save that for day 2. I probably will, because it's getting a little late right now. So I might catch up with you in the next clip. Regardless, I'm gonna get this building done, and it is gonna look way better than it did before. So it's day 2 now. I have framed the entire building. The inside, bottom, interior is done. Now I'm going to focus on the top floor, and I have an idea for that. I'm going to make, for lack of a better word, a criminal organization type deal. It looks like in GTA they have a whole factory going on with illicit drugs, which I can't replicate in Roblox. So I'm going to instead take some construction materials from this motel, and I'm going to put it over in the top floor of that, so it looks like it's underdeveloped. It's kind of like was stuck in the middle of construction. They never got it done. And then I'm going to put some stuff up there that makes it look like a criminal organization. I've decided that we're going to make this into a soda shop type deal because we can't put liquor in the store. So soda's the next best thing. I'm still having assets made for the bottom floor for the actual freezer and fridge combination down there, as well as the shelves. So that stuff will be done later, but I'm going to do the top floor. I'm going to get that done, get this looking right, at least with this construction stuff, and then I'm going to, what I like to call, plate it in game. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get this done, then we'll come back when I'm plating the building, and I'll meet you there. Okay, and there's that. I think this building so far has turned out amazing. I like how the top floor definitely came out. I was expecting a little bit worse, but I really got on my bag there. I did it well. The outside looks great. I like the decoration I did with the actual like trash and stuff like that. It's just the asset packs you got to utilize for your advantage with most of these buildings. But the interior, upstairs and downstairs looks great. I don't know what I want to do with this section of the building yet, with the little beakers and stuff. I might remove these and refabricate it somehow. I'm not sure if that's TOS, so we're gonna leave it for now. But yeah, this entire upstairs is great. I like the way it came out. The roof is great. The windows are good. I'm glad they came out good. Again, bottom floor is not done yet. I'm going to come back to that with assets that I'm having made personally by another builder. So we're going to come back to this. But for right now, it's a temporary holdover. But yeah, I think that's great. Now, I'm going to move to plating everything, which is essentially putting it in game, making everything around it match, putting the trees and stuff like that. So I'm going to cut to that. And maybe I'll give you guys a little bit of sauce when you plate your own buildings in your own game. Okay, here we are in City Shores. So this is the location where Liquid's Ace will be going. Right now, it is a construction site. Obviously, you saw this in the beginning of the video. That's why we're redoing the building, because we kind of need a new Liquid's Ace. This is also where the black market gun dealer is, yada, yada, yada. That story goes on. I want to eventually redo the gas station here, but that's not my priority right now. It's actually an okay building, and it was made by us, so it's not a big deal. Right now, I'm going to do what I call plating, which is essentially, making the building look good. Kind of like what you do when you're cooking something. You plate the thing and then present it to the judges who are then going to eat your dish. That's what I'm doing here, except I'm doing it in a Roblox game. So I'm going to take these trees out, and I'm going to take this actual building out. Take this, all these items out. Make sure it's a completely blank slate, because I'm going to redo some of the terrain over here. And I'm going to add back some trees, make it look real nice. If you keep the existing terrain, it's not a fundamentally bad idea. It's not like you're sinning in a Roblox studio, but I like to make sure my workspace is completely clean and clear of anything that might gunk up my building. So I'm just going to redo all the terrain over here, make it all grass, Not gonna worry about coloring in the lines because it's not a big deal. I can paint right over anything that I mistake or do wrong. So we're gonna do that. Okay, and now I'm gonna flatten all my terrain around here, make sure it's completely flat. The last thing you want to do is put a building in and then realize, oh, there's a piece of terrain sticking to the floor, and it's in a live server with 55 players. I've done that multiple times, and it is not a fun experience. So I suggest you don't do that. Now, I'm going to grab my model that I have already pre-made in the other studio real quick, and I'm going to copy it. One very important thing that you got to realize when you're making these models in folders, you have to then model the entire thing with all the folders. Otherwise, if you don't model or if you don't group it with all the folders and you copy the folders and paste them in, they will not be folders. It will just be a conglomerate of parts and things all over the place. So group your model before you copy it. I also make it a habit to save it to Roblox. So I save it to my Roblox. I make it a liquid ace, and I put it as a model, and I make sure it's on me, and then I save it. I'm going to put it under our group, though, because it's going to be an asset that we own in the game, and if somebody takes it, then we get the DMCA it for us. So we are good. We're going to Control-C to copy. We're going to bustle left over to the other studio. I'm going to go full screen. I'm going to paste it here. Okay. First thing you do when you're importing a building especially is make sure all the textures imported correctly. So I'm making sure all my export textures look good. None of the meshes are gray. All the textures loaded in. I'm not using any weird textures that aren't supposed to be supported here. Yep, everything looks good. Then you got to obviously put it down to the ground level because that's what you want to do in all buildings. You got to make sure it's touching the ground on all four sides. And then you're going to pick the area of the plot of land you want it to be in. I'm going to have Liquid's Ace pretty much centered square in the lot. That way we don't have to worry about any other problems pursuing from the size of the lot. Just put it dead in the middle. That'll be a lot easier than anything else. So the building's down. I'm going to make sure everything there is anchored. Looks good to me. Now I'm going to plate the terrain around it. I'm going to paint everything, make it all look nice and neat for the building. I'm going to go around and just put sandstone underneath the building. Some people I've seen in other games forget that terrain grass grows through buildings. So, for instance, if I didn't do this, there'd be grass in the floors like this. You want to make sure you take all the terrain away from the bottom of your buildings because that is definitely an issue I've seen with a lot of builders. They forget that the interior of the building also has grass, so got to make sure to do that. I'm going to clear a space for the parking lots. All that stuff, I'm going to have one that wraps around the side of the building. I'm going to also make sure the road is completely clear and clean of terrain, or at least grass, for that matter. Make sure all this is good around here. Make sure I have a nice little clean outline for the roads in the area. And there we go. I guess I'll continue this over here too. Might as well. I'll continue that later. And then we'll just make it match on this side too, like that. There we go. Okay, so we have our base clean terrain. Now, the second thing I like to do with a lot of buildings is if they have a parking lot, I want to do that second. So this one in GTA has a sand parking lot. It doesn't really have a paved parking lot at all. I'm going to give it a paved parking lot just because I know this is going to be a giant place for roleplays. A lot of people are going to want to use this area to roleplay money laundering, to roleplay buying a drink, which is a soda drink, just so Roblox is clear on that one. So I'm going to give them a place to park. So I'm going to make sure this is completely level with the road. There's a better way to do this. I don't know why I'm doing it like this. I'm going to use a plugin called Resize the Line. I think I've covered this in a video before. It would help if the road wasn't locked. That'd be amazing. Let me unlock this road part here and drag it underneath. Oops, wrong one. Okay, why is that so far? Okay, all right. Now, like I was saying, I'm going to use Resize the Line to perfectly size this to the road height. That way I have an exact measurement and I don't have to guess or have Roblox guess for me. I'm going to align it right to the road. Oh, I can't because it's a union. Fuck unions in this particular case. Align it like that. Now, parking lots are not usually the color of the road. Sometimes they are, sometimes they are not. Oops. This one in particular is going to be a slightly different color. Pro tip, okay, serious pro tip for all you guys out there building roads and terrain, stuff like that. Roads particularly, parking lots especially, are usually made out of either concrete or tar. This being an extension of the road, I'm going to make it out of... actually, no. I'll make it out of concrete. You do not want to go with these two colors. If you make this black like this, it's going to look like shit, okay? The color black's good. Don't get me wrong. No racism here. We love everything under the sun. All colors are cool. But this specific color is mixed with blue. This does not look good in buildings. Stop using the specific shade of black to color your parking lots. That is not what they're supposed to look like. You do not go into a building or go into a parking lot of a business and see blue tar covering the roadways. You don't see that. That is not what we're doing here. This is technically a blue. Okay? Stop using this fucking color. It's not good. Instead, use this what the fuck do I call this? I'm just gonna call it black, okay? Use this specific tone of black, all right? It's called, well, that. You can read it on your screen. I'm not gonna say that out loud, but it's called that, okay? Now, you don't want to keep your parking lot like this because roads are not this dark. They don't look this dark in real life unless they're just freshly paved, okay? You're going to go into the properties, all right? And then raise the brightness on this little scale right here until it kind of looks almost ashy gray. You want to have a darker asphalt color, but you don't want to have it light too far. So I'm gonna say this is a pretty good color for a parking lot, at least I think so. It's almost a dark gray, I guess you could call it. I mean, you could really call it a dark gray. It's, I don't know why Roblox is calling it a dark taupe, or taupe, whatever. I'm going to lighten it a little bit more, I think. Yeah, actually, no. What I'm going to do is, sometimes I drag the values around just to make it look like that. Now, you're going to ask yourself, why am I not matching the color to the road? Well, parking lots don't match the colors of the road usually. That's not really how that works in real life. So, that's that. I'm actually going to change the material because I don't like this material. I'm going to change it to a different concrete. Hopefully one that better reflects what I'm looking for here. And that's another thing. You guys got to start experimenting with not only the colors of your concrete and roads, but the textures. There are thousands of free texture packs to use on Roblox. Please start using free texture packs. If you stick to the regular Roblox textures, your buildings are going to look the same. Okay? Even with texture packs, things still, sometimes look the same, but we have a lot of our variety in our game because we use custom-made texture packs. You guys should start doing the same thing. You don't have to make custom-made. You really don't. In fact, you shouldn't. But at least put some effort into getting some new textures than Roblox ones, okay? Roblox doesn't have the best thinking cap when it comes to textures. Anyways, okay. I'm going to mess with this later on. I'm not going to worry about the color of it right now. I'm going to drag this over here like that. Okay. Like so. Actually, you know what? Much more efficient using two parts. I'm going to just drag this like this. There we go. Look at that. Super efficiency. Now, I'm going to make my little outline. And I'm going to actually make a little... Whoops. I keep doing that. I'm going to make a little side alley right here. Like that. There we go. Actually, no, we won't. We won't worry about that. I'm going to just make it like this. There we go. Let me mess with this color real quick. I'll be right back. I need to make this look like a good shade of parking lot. All right. We're going to go with a dark gray for the parking lot color. I'm not going to mess with anything else in dark gray. So we're going to do that. I keep doing that. I got to ungroup this. There we go. Now, let me change this actually. W me. Parking a lot. Put that in miss. Gotta make sure your thing's organized. Sometimes I miss it myself and then I end up regretting it later on down the road, wondering why I didn't originally properly organize my buildings. You gotta make sure you're making a habit of that stuff, please. What I'm gonna do here is called cheating real quick. I'm gonna make this lower than... Ooh, that's gonna be impossible. Fucking hell. Can I even do that? Is that going to be possible? Yeah, it will be. Okay, alright. I got lucky with that one. Sometimes these roads are too close to the ground. I can't get it close enough to get it underneath the original road, and I got to actually like model it properly. I don't want to do all that. So, I'm just going to leave it like that. Now, we got our parking lot. Good and well. I'm going to steal some parking spaces from somewhere. I got to find some parking spaces. Oh, over here, Groupie 6. They have some parking spaces. Control V, okay. Gonna drag that over to our Liquids Ace, and we're gonna use these parking spaces. Also, guys, if you haven't found out already, don't use parts for parking spaces. You are causing unnecessary asset lag for everybody inside your game, okay? I'm using a decal, okay? Obviously a texture. You can make your own. In fact, I think this was made by somebody else. But you can make your own texture for the parking lot lines. Stop using parts. And I know I'm criticizing you myself too, because I used parts here, but I wanted an angled approach, so that's why I did that there. But still, my point stands. Please make your own parking lines. Do not rely on Roblox parts to be your parking lines. It just doesn't look good, okay? I promise you, all right? I love using parts too, but not in parking lot lines. It's just unnecessary usage of parts in a Roblox building capacity. Now, gotta make sure our parking lots actually stretch all the way out. There we go. I think that looks great. So parking lot pretty much done. Now I'm gonna work on the decor of the area, which includes some more grass issues. Obviously, you're gonna have to edit this as you go. This is just kind of a per case basis, but I'm gonna go ahead in here and add in some more terrain just to make sure our parking lot is clean and clear of grass. What I'm going to come back and do is put grass back where I just removed it out of. I know, it's crazy. And just kind of make it filled in. You don't want to have barren terrain in your game, okay? Especially Roblox, especially with our game with Sandy Shores. Terrain looks a lot better covered in grass, or at least some sort of greenery, some sort of top patch, as I like to call it. If you leave it barren with like sand or stone or whatever, it's not going to look good, guys. You gotta go in there and start, trying things out, make things look good with the terrain. All right, it's not a big deal. You can go back and change it anytime. So just go in, have fun, change things around, make it look good. Okay, real life doesn't just have barren spots in the middle of a fucking town. Okay, unless you're in Arizona or fucking the Death Valley, you're not gonna have just sand pits everywhere. You're gonna have grass. There's liveliness. Same with trees. Recently, well, not recently, but sometimes I'm building and I don't want to put trees around an area, but I realize this. I look around, I'm like, you know what? Sandy Shores has a lot of trees and bushes and shrubs. So I've said it before and I'll say it again. Please put trees down near your buildings. Put put shrubs around your buildings. Make it look lively. Okay? You can't be afraid to put things around your buildings. You cannot be afraid to put shrubs and grass and trees around your buildings. It makes it look alive. I promise you. I promise you. All right? Please start doing that for me. I go in so many games that are made by indie developers, and it's just like, where is your grass? Where is your terrain? Where is your foliage? Like, where is this stuff? You guys, there's not a whole lot of thought put into that for some of y'all, and that's okay. It's just, it takes some time to learn. Anyways, I think we got our grass situation figured out. I like the parking lot design. It's very good. Now, black market dealer is usually here, this backside of Liquid's Ace. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little dirt path over here. Well, it's really just a sandstone path, but I'm going to make a path nonetheless. I wonder if I can do ground here. No. I wonder if, would this look better? Not really. We'll just leave it as sandstone. It's fine. What we're going to do is make a little path back here. Just like that. And then that will be a entryway and exit point for the little black market dealer. That way we can have a spot to put him. So that's that. Now, I'm going to put some trees down. My favorite part, trees, bushes, shrubs, stuff like that. Actually, before I do that, going back to the path creator, which is our fence maker. I'm going to put this in my left side of my screen. All right, so I'm going to make some fences here to the downfall of everybody else. I'm going to fence out this area real quick and make it look real nice and spiffy. That way people can't just speed around and, wreck into the damn building like they wouldn't in real life. I'm going to just put some fences around here. I know some people do not like the fences, and I don't care. I really do not care. I just don't care enough to care, Caring is sharing. I don't care. So let me put these fences down real quick. All right, there we go. Fences are done. Maybe I'll redo them later, but for now, the fences that we have right here are going to be great. Now, fun part is the trees. So I'm going to use my brush tool. That is character loading. That's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to use where is my brush tool? Hello, bing, 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 brush tool. Okay, there we go. I'm going to use my brush tool and stamp some trees in here. I'm going to stamp some of these trees. I've recently been liking these. These trees specifically are actually great for providing shade and some dynamic lighting situations to the game. More so than pine trees because they just cast more shade. And this isn't really a pine tree area. This is more a palm tree and I guess birch tree area. I guess that's what this is. I don't know. So I'm going to put some trees around here and then some shrubs. Actually, I think I'll do ground bushes first. That way we have some coverage here in at least the back portion of the building. There we go. Put some regular bushes around, maybe some of these bigger ones that will cover some space up. There we go. Perfect, just like that. And then we'll go back with the big tree and put some of these guys around in the corners and whatnot. Make it look kind of lived in, And this is what goes back to my original point. You got to put shrubs down. You got to put trees around things because it just like it livens the place up. To be very honest with you, it really does. Like, I don't know why some people are afraid to put trees around their buildings, but it makes it look so much more better. Okay, stop fucking putting just sand around your buildings. It needs more than that, I promise you. Now, I'm gonna put some palms around here. It's a pine tree, medium palm. There we go. Put some pine trees around here, make it look a little bit more like Sandy Shores would. Just like that. There we go. Some some palm trees and some white wood trees. I don't fucking know, dude. And boom, there we go. That's basic plating. I'll probably come back and invest some more time into actually, redoing the outside of this building and redoing the actual trees and stuff. That is a tree inside of a fence. Okay, type shit. Good job, Asher. No, this is good. Very good. I like the plating I did here. I like the way it came out. I love the building. I will revisit the actual terrain around the area and fix it up, obviously. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be back next week with another building video. I'm sure I got a lot of other projects to do in Sandy Shores. So you guys stay tuned with that. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.